Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this very cute skirt that's perfect for summer. Now before we get started, today I'll be using this pure cashmere yarn. You'll need about 4 skeins of this to achieve the same look. I'll also be using a 3mm crochet hook. You'll need some elastic bands for your waistband, and of course some scissors and your crochet stitch markers. I'll leave a link in the description box below on where you can get these items as well. Now start by making a slip knot, and you can do this in whichever way you prefer. Now once done, go ahead and chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're gonna get started with our waistband for our skirt, and we're gonna start that by skipping the first chain that's here, and in the second chain stitch we're gonna do a slip stitch. Now at this point, if you are a beginner, I would advise placing a marker on your first stitch so that you don't lose count, but we'll simply be doing slip stitches going all the way down. And to do a slip stitch, it's very simple. You insert your hook inside the chain, you pull through a loop, and then you pull that through the loop that would have already been on your hook. Now again, we started with 9 chains, so in total we should have 8 stitches, as we would have skipped the first. So you can also keep that in mind so that you can monitor your count. Now once you get to the end of the row, chain 1, and then you want to turn your work. Today I'll be working from under the stitch, and again we'll be doing slip stitches going down. So you want to again insert your hook under the stitch like that, pull through a loop, and then we want to pull that through the loop already on the hook, and we're going to do that going all the way down. Now again, remember you should have 8 stitches in each row. You want to chain 1, then you're going to turn your work, and under each stitch you do a slip stitch. Now that is all that's required for your band. This is the stitch pattern that will be in each and every row. Now this is what the band will look like once you're finished. For me, this is about 18 inches going across. Now this band, using this particular yarn, is very stretchy, so you want to make it smaller than your waist. For me, my waist is about 28 inches, so I did it using 10 less inches on this, because when it stretches, it will account for that size. So you may adjust yours as well based on the size of your waist. Now we want to close the band all together, so I'm going to chain 1. Placing both sides together, I'm going to turn my work, and then I'm going to do slip stitches going all the way down, working through both sides. So from the extreme end here, want to pull up a loop and complete your first slip stitch. And then you want to do that in each stitch going all the way down. Now once you're finished, you can go ahead and cut your yarn, pulling it all the way through. And this will be the working band for your waist. You can also choose to turn it inside out so that this is what is shown on the outside. Now, starting anywhere on my project, I'm going to be working single crochets going all the way around. So you can start at any point. You want to yarn over and pull through a loop and chain one for your first single crochet. For the second, on my second stitch of the round, I will be placing a marker on that stitch because this is where we'll be closing out our round. And then I'm going to continue doing single crochets going all around the waistband. Now, a single crochet is very easy to do. If you're a beginner, simply insert your hook under the stitch and pull up a loop like that. You want to yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops. I'll do it once more. Insert your hook under, pulling up a loop. You're going to have two loops on your hook. You yarn over, pull the yarn through both loops. So I want you to continue doing single crochets going all the way around. There aren't any defined spaces for you to place your single crochets, so you'll have to use your discretion as you go around the periphery of your work. Now in the end, this is what your work should look like. You'll see the single crochets that I've done going all the way around, and this is the last single crochet that I would have done. Now at this point, you also want to place two markers to the extreme sides, and that's because in these stitches we'll be adding some increases so that we can increase the size of the bum area of our skirt. Now going forward, we'll only be using double crochets as the stitch for this particular pattern. So I'm going to remove my marker from that first stitch. Now the way to close around is that we insert our hook from the back of the stitch like this. I'm going to hook my loop to it and pull it under. Now my double crochets will be done from the inside of the stitch, so you can insert your hook inside the stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops and chain one. That's how you do your first double crochet. In the stitch beside it, you want to yarn over and insert your hook. Again, we do that from the inside of the stitch, pulling up a loop, and with 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through those first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. I'll also be placing a marker on the second stitch of my row because that's where we'll be closing out the round. And then I'm going to continue doing 1 double crochet in each stitch until I get to the marker here. So again, yarn over and insert through the middle of the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over and pull through those first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. And again, I'm going to continue my double crochets going all the way around until I get to my first marker. So you continue and I'll see you when we're here. Now once you get to the stitch where your marker is, remove your marker. And in that stitch, I'm going to be doing 3 double crochets inside that same stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to place my marker back on that second stitch, because in the next row, that's where we'll be continuing our increases. Now, once you're finished, you can go ahead and do 1 double crochet in each stitch. And we're going to do that going all around until we get to our second marker, which is right here. So you want to continue going around until you get to this marker where we'll do the same increase. Now, once you get to the marker on the other side, you're going to remove that. And in that stitch, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to place the marker back on our middle stitch. This is where we'll be doing the increase in the next round, where the marker is. And then of course we'll continue to do 1 double crochet in each stitch until the row is complete. Now once you get to the end of the row, make your loop larger. I'm going to remove my marker and insert my hook to the back of the stitch where that marker was. Hook my loop to it and pull it through. And of course, this is how we'll close out all rounds going forward. To start a new round, you insert your hook inside the stitch. It has to be done from the inside of the stitch. Pulling up a loop with 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through and chain 1. That's our first double crochet. And then we do a double crochet from the inside of the stitch beside it. Now it's very important that you work your stitches on the inside of the stitch, because then it creates this line that you'll see, this line. And that's where we'll be working our ruffled pattern. So for the next 4 rows, I want you to go ahead and repeat what we did in the last, whereby you do 1 double crochet in each stitch except for the stitch where our marker is on. So on this stitch we'll do 3 double crochets, and on this stitch we'll do 3 double crochets. Every other stitch will have only 1 double crochet. Now this is what our work is looking like after completing 5 rows, where we would have added our increases to the sides. So if you look closely, you can see in each row where I would have had 3 double crochets inside 1 stitch, and that's done on both sides again. Now going forward, we want a total of 25 rows, but going forward we will not be doing any additional increases. We will only be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch. So this should be fairly simple for you going forward. We're going to close out the round as we normally do. I'm going to insert my hook from the back of the stitch where that marker was and hook my loop to it, pulling it through. And then I'm going to insert my hook from the inside of the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over and pulling through both loops and chaining 1 for my first double crochet. The double crochet that follows, we'll use the regular double crochet pattern, which is whereby we yarn over our hook and insert through the middle of the stitch, pulling up a loop. With 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So I'm gonna add my marker back to this stitch. Going forward, your stitch marker should always be added to the second stitch of the row, because that's where we will be closing out or around. And then for each stitch until we have a total of 25 rows, if you'd like your shorts to be shorter, you can do less rows, that's up to you. But in each stitch going forward, you can go ahead and just do 1 double crochet in each stitch. There will be no increases again. So go ahead and continue that until you have a total of 25 rows. Now I've gone ahead and completed a total 25 rows, and this is where I'm going to stop before making that area for our crotch as well as the bottom portion of our shorts. Now before I do that, I do need to go ahead and close out the round for this all together. I'm going to go ahead and complete my last double crochet. And then I'm going to cut my yarn. Now pull it all the way through. I'm going to remove my marker from that stitch and insert my hook from the back. I'm going to hook my remaining yarn to it and pull it through. Now on that last stitch, if you turn it, you will see where it has a back bump. That's right here. We want to insert our hook from the back of that. I'm just going to give it a bit of space to make it easier. I'm going to insert my hook from the back like that. Now you want to hook your yarn to it and pull it through. Now if you pull on that, you'll see that it now matches all the other stitches. Now we can just go ahead and weave the remaining yarn through the back. Now before I go ahead and show you how to do the area, the crotch area, it's important that you also try your work on so that you can test how long you'd like it to be before you actually go ahead and do the bottom portion of your work. Now you're also going to want to mark on both ends here, the sides, and then you're going to want to do a count going all around, because you want to do an even split on both sides. So once you have your counts at the sides, you're going to do an even count going all around, and then you're going to do an even split on both sides so that you have the same size leg on each side. Now, these 2 markers mark the extreme middle for my work, so I'm going to remove the first. Now on that stitch, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, and then I'm going to make 9 more chains. So you want to have 10 chains in total, for this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. we're going to remove our marker from this side. And on that stitch where our marker was, we're going to go ahead and do a slip stitch. Now once you do that, chain 1. Now once you do that, chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to go ahead and turn or work. Now that chain 2 stitch counts as a stitch, a double crochet stitch. And now we're going to do double crochets in this direction, going all the way around. So in the next chain, we want to yarn over, insert our hook inside the next chain, pull up a loop and complete our double crochet. You also would want to take your marker and place it on that stitch because that's where we'll close out the round, and we'll continue doing double crochets in each stitch going across. Once you do your final stitch on the chains going across, we're going to continue our regular pattern. We're going to start by doing a double crochet on that first stitch on the pattern. You can turn your work slightly, and then you want to continue doing your double crochets going all the way around. So this part right here, you should be very familiar with. This would be the same stitch pattern that we have been doing up to this point. So you can just go ahead and continue the pattern going around until we get to our marker here. Now it's also very important to note that we will only be doing one leg at a time. So I'm going to show you how to do this leg before I show you to do the leg on this side. Now once you get to your final stitch of the row, we're gonna want to make our loop larger. I'm gonna remove my marker. Again, this marks where I close out my round. I'm gonna go ahead and insert my hook to the back of the stitch and pull it through. Now you can just go ahead and continue the row as normal. So that was our first double crochet. On the second double crochet, we go ahead and place our marker. And we're just going to go ahead and continue doing our double crochet stitches going all the way around. And we're going to continue this until we have a total of 6 rows. Now, this is what my work is looking like after 6 rows. And I'm going to show you how to close out the row all together once you get to this point. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to do is to cut your yarn. And once you've cut your yarn, you're going to pull it all the way through. This is our final row. So this is how you close out the row for good. Now, once you remove your marker, just as we've been doing, you're going to insert your hook to the back of the stitch where the marker was. And I'm going to hook my yarn to it and just pull it through. And I'm going to pull on the yarn as well, just to make sure it's about, you know, the same size as all the other stitches. Now in our final stitch that was right here, the last stitch that we would have done, if you turn it, you will see that the stitch has a back bump that's right here. You're gonna wanna insert your hook through the back bump, through the stitch, like that. We're gonna hook or yarn to our hook and just pull it through. So now the stitch appears as all the other stitches, and in the back we're just going to go ahead and weave in our ends. Now let's go ahead and work on the other side of our leg here. Now taking my yarn, you can go ahead and wrap it around your index finger just like that. And I'm going to locate my first stitch. Now I want to go ahead and do that stitch. This is the crotch area. So I'm going to start my stitches from the crotch going across, and then I'll go around. Now you want to insert your hook through the middle of the stitch. I'm going to start on this stitch right here. You want to insert your hook through the middle of the stitch like this. And then I'm going to pull up a loop, and I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. This is going to act as our first double crochet. And in the stitch beside that, I'm going to do a regular double crochet, but again from the inside of the stitch. And of course, since this is our second stitch of the row, I'm going to place my marker on that, because this is where we'll close out the round. And then we're going to continue as normal in each stitch going across, and I want to work from the inside of the stitch. So like this, we'll pull up a loop and complete our double crochet, and I'm going to do this going all the way across. Now, once you have you've done your final stitch going across the crotch area, you're pretty much going to continue the pattern as normal, going all the way around until we get back to our marker. So this should be the part where you are pretty familiar with, where you just continue doing your double crochets going all the way around our leg until we get to our marker here. Of course, we'll go ahead and close out the round as normal. We want to do 6 rounds of double crochets for our legs, just as we did for the previous one. So you're going to complete the row now in the exact same way you did the last leg. Now, after completing both sides, this is what your work should look like. And now we're going to go ahead and add our ruffles. Now I've gone ahead and added stitch markers and separated my work into 5 separate rows, where I'll be adding my ruffle pattern to each of these rows going across. Now, the reason why I would have done my work to the inside of the stitch would be for us to have this portion right here, where we'll be working on to add our ruffled pattern. Now go ahead and grab your yarn. You can wrap it around your finger like this. You can add in our first double crochet to any stitch as long as it's in this row. So finding a stitch that's appropriate, and I'm also going to turn my work around because I'm going to add it in from this way. You can insert your hook under a stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. This will of course work as our first double crochet round. So yarn over, insert your hook under the stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. you can go ahead and take a stitch marker and place it on top of the stitch. Now we're going to continue to do this, placing the marker on the second stitch of the round, because that's still where we'll be closing out our round. Now I'll be working in sets of 5 for my ruffle pattern because I want the ruffle to be really defined. So I'm going to do 5 double crochets. So this is 1, 2. In the next stitch we have 3, 4, and 5. And in the stitch right beside it, we're going to work 5 double crochets inside that stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to repeat that going all the way around. So 5 going across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the stitch beside it, that's where this marker is, so I'm going to remove that. In that stitch we'll do 5 double crochets inside the stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's going to be the pattern for the row. You can go ahead and continue that going all the way around. When we place 5 double crochets inside a stitch, that's actually what creates that ruffled pattern. The more stitches that goes into a singular stitch here makes that ruffle more defined. So if you want it really curly, you can put more stitches. If you want it less curly, you can put less stitches. That's how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and continue the pattern going all around. Now once you get to the end of the row, you're going to remove your marker. I'm going to insert my hook to the back of the stitch. I'm going to insert my hook to the back of the stitch, hooking my loop to it and pulling it through. And then I'm going to do a double crochet. Now I won't be working inside the stitch like I normally do. Instead, I'm going to insert the hook under the stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through, and chain 1 for my first double crochet. That's how we do the first double crochet of the row. Then we yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we're gonna create the double crochets as you normally would. Now in this row and in all the rows to follow, we'll only be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch. We'll no longer be doing any increases at all. Each stitch will only include 1 double crochet. So go ahead and continue the row going all around, and again in each stitch we do 1 double crochet. We're not going to be adding any increases. Now I'm going to also go ahead and complete this for 8 rows. Now I've completed my row, but I've also gone ahead and added the ruffles to my other rows, And that's done in exactly the same way that we did our first row. So again, we would have used our markers to mark out where we place our ruffles. You can just go ahead and add the rows accordingly. Now, if your waistband has gotten too much stretch in it and you'd like to decrease the size of your waistband, you're gonna have to use an elastic band to tighten it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, taking your elastic band, you can wrap it around your index finger, and we're just going to do slip stitches going all the way around. Now, you want to ensure that your slip stitches are done from the inside of your work, so on the side where the ruffles are not. And we're going to use our ribbing patterns here as markers for where we put our stitches. Now, I like to work at the very bottom. You can pull through a loop, and then right in the middle of our ribbed pattern, you pull up a loop, and you pull that through as a slip stitch. I'll bring it a little closer. So I'm just gonna work on the bottom stitches here, going all around. And you want to continue that going all the way around. Now in the end, this is what your work will look like. This is the outside, and on the inside you'll see those slip stitches, and you'll also see where we have that stretch, but because of the elastic band, it goes right back in. So if your waist was too large, this would be a great technique for you. If your waist is at a great place, then you're good to go. But this is the final look, guys. This is also how it looks on me. Now, if you found this tutorial helpful, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so as yet. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!